Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 290. Sorry about being in a different area, and I don't have the usual mic that I usually use, but bear with me for this week, and then next week I'll be with my regular type of videos. But let's get started. This week I have 17 books. We go least favorite to best pick of the week, and this is kind of a larger haul, but next week I only have 8 books, and that is a very short haul slash small haul for me. But yeah, let's get started. Number 17 for me this week is Giant Man issue 1. Obviously picked this up because I am a Scott Lang fan and always like hoping that Cassie will be mentioned somewhere. Sorry, I'm trying to take off my iPad. Here we go. Yeah, but with this issue, wasn't a huge fan of the artwork. I feel like there's a lot of lines on their faces, which I didn't really enjoy. And there's some lines in meaning dialogue that just was really weak for me. Like, there's one joke that they play where Scott says, Huff, no, but go ahead and give me the full rundown while my pulse gets a chance to chill out. You almost made me pee-pee my pim pants. I mean, I guess they're playing off of, like, Endgame. I don't know. They had like somewhat of a joke in that in the movie. So I don't know what type of joke that was, but I didn't really like it. And the other Ant-Man slash Giant Men characters, I only knew really one of them, so wasn't really connected there. I might get more just to see if Cassie will be in more issues because she is referenced, and it's Scott figuring out like, oh, is she okay with all this War of the Realms stuff happening? She's still in Miami, so is she like just fighting on her own? Will we get to see her stature? Like, that is the only thing that's tempting me to get more. Other than that, I didn't really like this, and as you guys know, haven't been loving the War of the Realm tie-ins, even though I have been enjoying the overall series. So I'm gonna give that one 2 stars, and that is number 17. Alright, moving on to another War of the Realms tie-in, which is number 16, and that is War of the Realms, Spider-Man, and the League of the Realms. Not a bad issue, but just another story I just feel like I don't need more of. It just didn't really add much to the War of the Realms storyline, so yeah, it didn't really do it for me. But I did like seeing Nico Leon's artwork. It's nice seeing him back. I like his Ms. Marvel work a lot. And it was cool seeing Spider-Man being, you know, obviously the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the Midgard hero, fighting this big fancy war, which is War of the Realms. So I thought that was entertaining, but not entertaining enough for me to want to get the next issue, especially with the overall plot, with the players that he's playing with. So number 16 is that, and I give that 2.5 stars. Moving on to number 15, which is Superman issue 11. Love the cover, just not really liking this what is his name? Rosel Gar storyline. And it's, you know, the House of L going up against him and Zod now. And it's setting up for this big war, which I just don't care about Clark's dad or Rogel Zar, whatever, that's Rogel Zar. But I guess it's kind of cool that Supergirl comes in the end. But the artwork is really pretty, and that is why this is a little higher than those other books, but not really entertained by the overall plot and been enjoying Action Comics a little bit more than Superman. I'm going to take a sip of water and then move on to number 14. Big water this time. Number 14 for me is Next Gen issue 4, and this is the only Age of X-Men book I am getting currently. It's the only one that I feel is a bit different from the others, where we get to see the people in this world really cracking the case of, oh, this is not real. What do we do? And it's kind of cool to see these C-list X-Men figure it out and again, see how they handle it. And I do like the artwork overall. I like the characters they've picked because they are underrated characters. So I enjoyed that, but the reason it is low is also like, do we need 5 issues of this? I don't think it really progressed the story that much, and I do like previous issues a bit more, but it is one I'll stick with, and obviously only have one more issue left, so hopefully it concludes well. But I gave that one 2.5 stars. Was this issue really mind-blowing? No. But if you pick up any of the Age of X-Men books, I think Next Gen's the one that's worth it. Alright, moving on to number 13. And that is War of the Realms Strikeforce. The War Avengers, which I believe is a one-shot, and this had a bit more substance than the other tie-in slash mini-series. It was interesting to see these characters that have dealt with war in Midgard deal with this otherworldly war, which is War of the Realms, especially Captain Marvel, of saying, hey, you know, I've been a superhero for so long, I don't remember what it's like to be a soldier anymore. So I thought that was interesting, and I liked the dialogue. I thought Deadpool was very Deadpool. He had some funny lines, breaking the fourth wall, but if you don't like Deadpool, it might be a little bit too much, but I thought it was just enough Deadpool in this issue. And the artwork was stronger than I expected, because I didn't really like the cover art. Let me show you a different page. This is the artwork for the interiors, but the cover art, I felt like the characters looked really small and less detailed, but I did like the interior artwork here, and the story was pretty solid for a one-shot, even though it was $4.99. That's pretty pricey, but I'm going to give that one 3 stars. Alright, let's see. That was number 13. Number 12 for me is Bettie Page, issue 5. I liked last arc a lot more. Obviously, that was in my top 5. This arc has to do with the Lockless monster, so not Queen Elizabeth this time. It was a cute story, them going on vacation and then kind of finding this monster and Betty having to deal with that. We do get to see her other skills of photography or being a model played out in this issue, but we also get a connection of what her medallion is, I guess, and what that's going to be connected to. So let me show you that last page. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. So that was cool. The artwork's a bit cartoonier than previously. I think the action flowed a little bit better with the last artist. So it wasn't as strong as previous issues, but Bettie Page is always a fun espionage read that I totally recommend overall. Alright, moving on to number 11. So number 11, I got a variant of this, and that is Immortal Hulk. Issue 17. I've been really enjoying Immortal Hulk. I think this was a little lower than previous issues, which have all been in my top 5, because it's really just a battle, and I think some of the aspects of Bruce winning was a little convenient, but I love the horror aspect of this story, and I enjoyed the ending with Rick being this monster, so I like that. I just love the whole monster aspect of it. I mean, that transformation in the end was pretty crazy, and the artwork is just brilliant, and I do like how they did attack Bruce or Joe in this issue with the sunlight. I thought was a really interesting way to see action in this issue, but again, there's definitely some convenience here with it. With him getting the person that's been attacking him. So I think that could have been a little bit better, but overall, like I said, enjoyed it, because there's just this one science moment, and then he kind of figured it all out. But yeah, overall, still really enjoy this series, and excited to see where it goes, and where all the other Hulk characters go as well, because they're really building up to that. So I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. Alright. I think I gave Bettie Page 3. Yeah, I gave that 3. Okay. Moving on to number 10, which is Sabrina the Teenage Witch, issue 2. I believe this is a little higher than issue 1. I like the overall narrative that's playing out, that these monsters are in their high school, these magical monsters, and Sabrina has to figure it out. And, you know, Harvey plays a little bit of a role here as well. You know, Sabrina flirting with him is always fun. But yeah, I really like the magical aspect, even though it does have a little bit of a Chilling Adventures vibe, where it feels like more Wicca magic, but overall I think it does balance that Chilling Adventures with the Sabrina we all know from the past, like the sitcom and the old comics. But definitely the visuals feel a lot like Chilling, because the ants look more like that, and the house looks a bit more like that series and more like that TV show. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed the book. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the artwork overall, and yeah, I give this one 3.5 stars. Excited to see where this monster story ends up going. Alright, moving on to number 9. Number 9 for me is Naomi, issue 5. Lower than I want this to be, because this is definitely one of my favorite DC titles right now, and 100% my favorite Bendis title right now. But it was very exposition-y, and honestly felt like a short issue because of it. We kind of get re-explained of things we already knew about Naomi's parents from the last issue, because Naomi's explaining everything to her friend, which I like. I like that her friend's involved. I'm like, alright, as an audience member, I kind of know all this already. But it's cool to see Naomi's powers. I thought that was a lot of fun. And then by the end, we get to see her dad, I guess, or no, I think it was the villain. Sorry, not her dad. The villain that was trying to capture her all those years ago is there. So that was a pretty big cliffhanger. And then the next issue is going to be the end of that season finale. I don't know when it returns, but I love the artwork for this book, and that's a lot of fun. But yeah, a little exposition heavy for this issue. But it's been a really solid series if you haven't been reading Naomi. All right, we're moving on to number 8. And number 8 for me is War of the Realms, issue, what are we up to? Issue 4, I believe? Where the hell's the number on this thing? Yeah, it's issue 4. It kind of blends in there with the yellow. But yeah, War of the Realms, like I said, haven't been loving the tie-ins and miniseries, but overall been really liking the event, which is crazy because I haven't loved a Marvel event in a long time. But I feel like every issue does have a wow factor. With this one, we get to see Thor's parents die, maybe? What's going on there? They didn't get their kiss in the end. And then Thor himself returns as Jane Foster is being, I'm the all-mother, I'm going to tell you what to do. And it's cool to see what the other Marvel characters are doing during this Norse war. So I had a lot of fun with it. The creative team is just top notch. I mean, it's so cinematic, this artwork, and just seeing Thor's mom being a badass in this issue is just, you know, enough reason to pick up this book. But I really like it, and I think it's not the best issue of War of the Realms, but I think it's a really cool point A to point B issue, and again, I like that we have OMG moments for every issue here. So really excited to see how this ends. I think there's only 2 more issues, which is crazy. This might actually be the first really consistent Marvel event, and I hope these 2 issues stick the landing here. All right, moving on to I gave that 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 7, which is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 21, which is part of the Hunted. I am a little disappointed that there's a little bit of a rip in this for this cover, but it is a beautiful cover with Black Cat. And this issue I like towards the end. I really enjoyed what they did with Kurt and what they're doing with the Lizard in general. I do think there's been a bit of a slow burn with Amazing Spider-Man with this arc, especially just that cliffhanger with MJ never being picked up. Someone's hovering over her, and we still don't know who that person is. So I would like to know who's hovering over MJ and if she's safe. But I did like the Peter moments where all he's thinking about as he dies is like, oh my god, MJ, like, I love you, I want to see you. So I enjoyed those moments, and I like what they're doing with Kurt overall. Like I said, making him a villain again, I guess, and his guilt with his son is very interesting. I'm trying to remember if there's any other cliffhangers here. I think it was just mostly the Kurt stuff. But yeah, overall I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. Again, not the strongest of this event, and I do think it's going on for a little too long. But I like certain characters and what they're doing with them, and I'm glad they focused on the Lizard with this one, which has been a long time coming, I feel. Alright, moving on to number 6. Which is Teen Titans, issue 30, which I read digitally, so I wrote it on a piece of paper as always. Teen Titans, I like the drama played here. It does feel like very old school Teen Titans, where everyone's kind of feeling separated, especially with Robin and Amiko here. And I liked all the different personalities playing off of each other. Like Roundhouse having all these comments about friendship was really cool. But even Crush being very protective of Jeannie, I think her name is. I always forget her name. But I thought that was really cool too, and that kind of interesting love triangle that's going between the 3 of them. So overall, I thought this was a really solid issue. Artwork is still not the strongest. I think it's a little bit too bulky, but I do like these characters a lot. So I'm going to give this 4 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Ironheart, issue 6. One thing I love about this book is the artwork. It's completely gorgeous, from just regular facial expressions to the actual Ironheart suit. And what I liked about this issue, especially if you're following Champions, is Riri learning about friendship, and that she actually is friends with Miles, and Miles is gone for a little while. The actual plot of him being gone and having this Groundhog Day thing was a little weird, but I did like what they're doing with with their friendship and Riri actually having friends and being able to interact with people socially, which is something I overall enjoyed about this volume, and also really excited about with Nadia. So Nadia we're going to get next issue as well, so more champion characters. And I think one character we really need if they're doing champions is Viv, because we had that huge cliffhanger of Viv kissing Riri, and Riri's like, no, I don't know how to feel about this, bye. So it'd be interesting to see a whole issue tackled with that, maybe in Ironheart, but probably in Champions, but they haven't really done much with it. But yeah, overall going to give this 4 stars, and that is number 5. Alright, moving on to number 4, which is Go-Go Power Rangers issue 20, and things are definitely being started set up here with Alpha 1. Where Alpha 1 is willing to kill people, and the Rangers are like, hell no, like, okay, yes, Rita's minions came in here and tried to hurt our friends, but that doesn't mean we're gonna go off and kill people. And then Alpha 1's like, alright, you know what, I'm gonna get my own Rangers, and we're gonna get stuff done. So I thought that was super interesting, and obviously the small character moments. I like seeing Matt and Kimberly technically come face to face, which was actually the pink Power Ranger in that. That was cool, and how much the juice bar means to everybody I thought was very interesting as well, and even small moments from previous issues, like Trini saying, hey, I told you so, Alpha 1's bad and no one listened to me, so how's that going to play out? And the artwork is always really good, especially the helmets. One thing I really like is that you actually kind of see the person behind the helmet, which is obviously something you wouldn't see in the show because they use Japanese footage, so it's really cool to see that through artwork, and that helps really for the superhero expressions, and yeah, it just brings more emotions to those scenes. So I thought it was a super solid issue, and I'm really excited to see Ryan take over Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I believe it's in May, and do this series as well. I think that's gonna be great. So that was number 4. Moving on to number 3, this has not been in my top 5 for a while, so happy to see it here, and that is Batman, issue 71, and I like this issue because A, Batgirl gets the spotlight she deserves here, where Barbara realizes, oh god, Batman has this red signal, this isn't good, and she calls the whole family together, and she's the one who leads the charge. Not everyone shows up, but mostly everyone shows up, and says, hey Batman, things aren't doing well with you, like, what's going on, man? And Batman kind of says nothing and hits Tim in the face. So, yeah, something's going on, and Batman can't deal. And obviously it's everything going on with Bane and Catwoman and the whole Nightmare stuff, which I didn't really like. But I think it's been building up interestingly here. I still don't know how to feel about him being so in this place, I would say. But I like that the family's dealing with it, and it was a really emotional issue, and it felt like a Bat family issue, which is definitely something I've missed. So Batman is broken. It's not his back anymore, it's his mind. So where is that going to go? I thought this was a really solid issue, and hopefully the series goes within this vein instead of the poetic things we've been getting in the previous issues. So I'm going to give this 4 stars, and that is number 3. And the artwork, I will say I enjoy the artwork the most with the Bat family. I didn't love when it was just Batman. So that felt a little bit too gritty for me. But yeah, let's move on to number 2. And number 2 for me is Spider-Man Life Story, issue 3. Yes, this made number 2 instead of number 1. I loved issue 2. I thought it was so good. And issue 3 was really solid as well. There's a lot of drama here, where we get to see Spider-Man's been gone for a while. He's doing Secret Wars, which obviously was a huge 80s event, and he's not doing well with it. When he takes the Venom, it kind of destroys his mind and his marriage. MJ is dealing with Aunt May having dementia. She takes the twins away, and MJ's like, you weren't here, Peter, what do I do? And she ends up moving out in the end of the issue. So there's a lot of turmoil in this one. Will MJ forgive Spider-Man? And I think once we get to the 90s, it'll be interesting to see, maybe these kids are older and they have spider powers. Maybe that's why MJ comes back. Is she a single mom at this point? And obviously knowing that Mayday was a big character in the 90s. So I'm curious to see what they end up doing there. But yeah, Peter is not in the right mind frame here, but there's a lot of interesting twists and turns for this one. Again, especially for Peter and MJ's marriage. But Aunt May, that was an interesting twist of her being a 9-year-old woman and having dementia. And the way they deal with Secret Wars is interesting too, and Kraven. So Peter actually like dies and comes back to life. So that was cool too. So does he come back as the same person? We'll have to see. So overall I gave that 4 stars, and that is number 2. All right, we're moving on to number 1. And number 1 for me is Incredibles 2, issue 2, Secret Identities. And I really enjoyed this book. It has all the tropes I love. And with this one, we get to see Violet have to choose between her friend and her family, I guess, in a way, where she's like, do I tell my family that my friend's dad's a supervillain, and she's trying to rein in her dad, but it's not really working. And then we also see the friend helping out her dad doing bad stuff. So is the friend just lying to Violet? What's going on here? So there's some interesting dynamics in this issue, and it's a really cool way to look at the Incredibles world. So I enjoyed this one. I think the artwork's really good, and definitely one of the best offshoot Incredible stories I've seen, which I've been really happy with, because I think Incredibles as a franchise is something that's not been tapped into enough. And I think this is a perfect way to do it, is through comics. So, and this is a really, really cool story, and glad that they introduced new characters as well. I thought that was really cool. And excited to see where it goes. Is Violet's friend actually a supervillain? So that's where we kind of end the issue. And I believe next issue is going to be the conclusion, which I'm sad about. Because, again, I've been really liking this art. And hopefully they continue the Incredibles 2 storylines. Yeah, that's my top books this week. Let me know in the comments below what were your favorite books, your least favorite books, and everything in between. This is Comic Uno. Go check out my Facebook page and my Twitter. Go check out my comic books like Father Like Daughter and They Call Her Dancer. And of course, every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Frontline Live, where we discuss our favorite comics and comic book news. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you next week. Bye.